I'm Marla Maples, and you're watching A Braveheart View.
I'm Suzan Sena, and you're watching A Braveheart View.
I'm Rolanda Watts, and you're watching A Braveheart View.
I'm Ellie Drake, and you're watching A Braveheart View. Hello and welcome to A Braveheart View. Ready to get inspired in only 10 minutes? Your hosts today are Rolanda Watts, actress and host of the TV series Rolanda; Suzan Sena, TV host and the former news anchor for the Fox News Channel; Marla Maples, actress, TV host, and humanitarian. I'm Ellie Drake, the founder of Braveheart Women. Our guest today is the founder of the Conscious CoParenting Institute. Interesting concept. What does it mean? She's passionate about providing strategies and solutions for parents and children struggling through parental alienation. I'm an immigrant. I don't even know what that means. And high conflict divorce. I'd like to welcome Dorcy Russell. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I know about your natural, you know, what is it? When you come to America, you become a natural alien resident. So that's all that I know. But parental alienation, what does that mean?
Two totally different things.
Yes.
But, parental alienation is the behavior of one parent, usually during a high conflict divorce, where they interfere with the relationship with the other parent. So usually through disparaging behavior, and parental alienation syndrome is what happens to the child when they've been severely brainwashed by a parent.
So it's dogging one parent out in front
Pretty
of the
much,
kid.
yeah. So they take on the personality of the parent that's angry and really start having hateful feelings towards the other parent. And
Haven't we seen that in the press a lot with some famous parents?
the most high-profile one is Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger. She is a severe alienator, and oftentimes what happens in those situations is the target parent, which is the one obviously who's getting alienated against, really starts to react to what's happening to them. They're angry, and so he responded with that email or voicemail to his daughter.
What does it do to the child? I mean, just break it down. That's got to, especially for young children, it's hard enough to know your family's falling apart, but then to watch this war.
Right.
What does it do to a kid?
Yeah, well, it does a lot of really horrible things to a child. They process through their lower self, so they start to become afraid. An alienating parent will really withhold love, and so the child is always trying to please them, so they really are completely robbed of their mind and their own way of thinking and making decisions, and so they fight to make their own decisions, and so with the target parent or other people they argue like, no, this is my decision, when they've been so severely brainwashed. So oftentimes what happens is they start to get older, it's early onset of drug use and sexual activity at a very young age, sometimes really preteen. They run away from home, they start reaching outside of their own nuclear family for what they're lacking in their life.
Dorcy, not to get too personal, but what you're talking about, you sound very experienced in. Is this something that you experienced from a child's perspective, or is this something that you witnessed through a relationship with a child, or what?
Well, interesting, both.
Okay.
My parents divorced when I was 5, and my father, who was actually an alcoholic and abusive to my mother, we were severely alienated from him. So my mom threw him under the bus, and to the extreme of making us watch her on TV talking about, spousal abuse and really focusing on what a horrible person he was. And she alienated us from everybody, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and I didn't really know what it was, and a lot of people don't know what it is by term, but they know what it is by what they're experiencing. So as a child, this happened to me, and when I went to see my dad when I was 18, trying to, mend this relationship, but both of us were broken. He was hurt and angry, and I was hurt and angry, and so I felt like he neglected me and abandoned me, and he felt like we were horrible to me. I was a child. I was really mean to my dad, and so then I married very young. I moved to the East Coast to get away from my mom, and married very young, and then I divorced, and then my mom tried to alienate me from my own children through my ex-husband.
So how did you actually shift this then from all this alienation? How did you turn it from divided to united? I think is one of your terms.
Yeah, that is my term, and I was dating a man who was being alienated from his child, and she came to live with us, and I didn't know what to do. How do I handle this teenager who's really angry? And so I started doing all this research, and I discovered the term parental alienation. And then when I started reading about it, I realized that's what happened to me.
So in a way, not to trivialize it all, but it's like lactose intolerance. For years, people got sick from drinking milk, and then one day somebody put a name on it. So here's something you had struggled with all those years, witnessed, experienced, but now you had a name for it.
I want to know how you go in there with two people about to kill each other. They you know, you can't believe the person you married is the same one you're divorcing. So how do you stop that? I mean, you've got, how do you get two people who are to kill each other back on the same track?
Maybe one wants to change and the other doesn't.
Yeah, oftentimes that's the way it is, that there's the alienating parent who doesn't see that they're doing anything wrong. It's a very narcissistic, sociopathic personality type, and they don't want to change. And the target parent does want to change, and that's usually how they become the target parent, is they want to do everything right, and they want to be nice, and they become too soft. And so I teach people how to really step into their power and stop being a victim, and really own what their contribution is, because oftentimes the target parent doesn't want to own that they're contributing by being passive, where the other person is being extremely aggressive.
What do we underestimate about the power of children?
Everything.
That's a good question. That is a great question.
Yeah, what's amazing.
Are they as resilient as we believe that they are, or are they just as tender as we believe that they are?
They're both. You know, they're really both. They're very resilient in that they can overcome so much. I mean, I think about what I overcame, and you know, statistically, I was trekking down the wrong track. You know, I did drugs early on. I had boyfriends at 14. You know, I was trekking down this crazy path, and yet I stumbled into an industry and was able to pull my life together and realize that there was a greater purpose for me to be here. And so kids can get through this as long as they have somebody in their life, whether it's a coach or another adult, that can really guide them in the right direction to say, you know,
so
it's not a lost
good
cause.
relationships.
That they have good
Yeah, that's the thing.
It just takes one person to give that child unconditional love to really turn their lives around.
And it doesn't have to be a parent. And oftentimes
Aunties
they reach out.
come in.
Grandparents come in.
I love the term conscious co-parenting. I mean, isn't it great if we could all say,
clear.
you know, even those who divorce could say, I'm a conscious co-parent.
Right.
And I like the co-parenting business.
Well, it has to be. I mean, it has to be a co-parenting situation. I mean, who among us hasn't been in a relationship with somebody these days? If you're single, you've dated somebody with kids, or you have kids, and you witness these things. So it's nice to know there's a place to go for help in that.
Absolutely.
You know, I dated somebody for a while who had children, a child, and they had a terrible relationship with his ex. And I went and got books, but it was hard to find books on this type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the people have to want to do it too. How do you reach out to the people who I mean, these people who are abusive or not thinking about the children, how do you get their attention to know that they have to make a change?
And does it ever become exhausting to do this type
Yes.
of work? Because,
Oh, of course.
It does become exhausting until I have the reward of reuniting a parent with a child that they haven't seen. And, you know, I have a guy right now, 10 years, makes me cry. He hasn't seen his child in 10 years. And through working with him and getting him right on the inside, he was able to really communicate with his child. He created an online campaign, created a website, reached out to this child. She found him and has, like, they're now sharing pictures, and he has written her stories and letters and about his life, and they've actually, you know, had a reunion. And
It's
it's
almost
beautiful.
ironic that you're keeping families together, even in the midst of a divorce.
Absolutely.
And that's
And people can
wonderful.
come to you for that, right?
Absolutely.
They just come to you. If you're alienated, go find
Yeah.
and have you
Dorcy.
found that, like, women are better at alienating than men, or
It
men
started
are better?
out that way. You know, it came through the whole sexual revolution where women were stepping into their power and wanting to have equality, and then, you know, but they realized that they didn't want to have that much equality. They didn't want to share custody with the kids, you know, with the ex and with the dad, and men started stepping in saying, hey, you know, I really want to have more time with my kids. And so it really started in that time, and now it's sort of shifted where it's pretty gender neutral. It's both men and women. They alienate a little differently, but it's
Thank you
in
for
both.
doing what you do. It's definitely
There's a
wonderful.
resource. There's a place to
Thank
go
you.
for help.
Conscious co-parenting.
Yeah.
All the way from conscious co-parenting to conscious coexistence in the world.
That's right.
That's what we're going to do. That should be your next book. No, you like that. Go ahead.
I think what it teaches our kids about peace, if you will.
Yes,
It really,
absolutely.
really does. You may be sitting at home and saying, boy, I sure would like to get more information about Dorcy Russell, and you can do that if you log into braveheartview.com. Then click on Resources.
And Core Inner Circle members, you can also access Dorcy's exclusive video titled Conscious Co-Parenting to help you go from divided to united in your Core member section.
Finally, we want you to get your Braveheart view. So to join us in our discussion forum after the show or to watch more episodes, go to braveheartview.com.
On behalf of our guest, Dorcy Russell, and our hosts, Rolanda, Suzan, Marla, and myself, Ellie, thank you for connecting, and peace in.